Hi! This time I wanted to talk about something that came to my mind. I was rewatching some of the parts of my recent actual play to see how I could improve. Still, I'm very satisfied with most of the actual play. But I started to think maybe some game masters could have some problems when it comes to the description or communication of the objects contained in a room. If you haven't seen my actual play, please check it out because this video is going to contain spoilers. You may realize that as Esben and Killian and their hirelings were making their way through the entire dungeon complex, or Forgotten Temple, or however you want to call it, sometimes rooms had a very clear image of what they contained. Some other times it was not that explicit. You can always use roleplay to further obtain details from a room. I look around the room with the intention of finding some sort of object that I can employ as a weapon. That's what Esben tried to do in the final room against the slug-like creature or monster, but there was no such object. There were no other objects aside from the ritual paraphernalia to be used in the ritual to expel or disintegrate, or however you want to call it, banish the entity. So there are going to be many situations like that in tabletop role-playing games. My advice would be that as a dungeon master or game master, when it comes to your descriptions, put special emphasis on the important objects. But when it comes to other things, common sense needs to be applied. If the player characters are going through this apocalyptic session, maybe demons have invaded the world and they are destroying and attacking everyone. As the player characters make their escape, maybe they decide to break a window and get into some sort of, a house or whatever, and the game master could describe something like, you jump inside the house, you are now in what appears to be a study. There is a desk, a couple of lamps, and a few statuettes in the corner. Maybe the players are curious about those statuettes. They can describe their actions, the way that they are looking at the statuettes or examining them to obtain further details about the statues, the number of statuettes. But maybe they could be thinking about other things within that study. The game master has already communicated that it's a study. It is logical to think that there are pens, a book. I think it's quite reasonable for the players to reach out for those objects, but I think it's not permissible, mostly because of, putting things too much on the side of the players for them to automatically find something. If it's a study and one player says like, I take a huge encyclopedia and I prepare to use it as a shield or as a weapon or this huge book or dictionary, the game master has not described such a thing. It's much better to use roleplay to more or less appraise the situation and further examine the room. I am looking for the thickest, heaviest tome or book in this, kind of like that. But there could be some other instances that things are just too obvious that there should be something like that in that particular room. Like if the game master tells you that you enter a bedroom, but he doesn't mention that, strangely enough, there is no bed in this bedroom. But if he didn't mention that there is no bed or an absence of a bed, then it's logical to think that there is a bed in that bedroom. So if the players want to use that bed as a barricade, they toss it to the side and push it against the door and then start to move each piece of furniture against the door. I would say that's allowable, logical, makes sense. In case the game master just gives you a general description of a room, you should use general descriptions of your actions as well. I start piling up all of the furniture that I find inside of the room against the door or against the window. Makes sense. Like I have mentioned in another video, you can carry out these general descriptions as a player when things are described generally in a general way. Like when you arrive, I used this example in another video. You arrive to a particular city, you are looking for someone. Instead of role-playing every knock on the door for every house and every conversation, have you seen this man? No. You go to the next house. Have you seen this man? No. You give a general description of your actions. I start to knock on the door of every house in this block, asking for the whereabouts of this person. That's it. Or if they have seen this person. You can have those general descriptions. But the purpose of this video is just that when it comes to the different sites, rooms, sections of an adventure site, or subsites, you could say, apply common sense, but give priority to the description of the game master. And as a game master, if you don't want to describe every little detail of the room, try to put, like I said, put emphasis on the important objects. And when it comes to some general objects, maybe they enter this huge warehouse. You could see there are wooden crates all over the place. Now the players can employ anything from those crates. I would still recommend that if they suddenly decide that there is some sort of content inside of I pull a chainsaw out of the wooden crate, there is no reason for there to be a chainsaw inside one of those crates. Those crates could be holding anything inside of them. So it's better to open those crates first and obtain the details. You don't need to open all of them. You could start to open a few of them just to see the general contents of a section, things like that. So it's all a certain balance of giving priority to the description of the game master because he is presenting the game world to you. Just like in real life, I just can't reach into a certain section of my room and expect to find anything, hammer, a crowbar, calculator, if it's not there, if it's not in that room. That will prohibit or inhibit those situations where the players are just pulling things out of nowhere. But like I said, unless the game master gives you some very specific details, if you go into a tool shed, I think it's quite logical to expect to find some sort of hammer or saw, chainsaw perhaps, but it's much better, in my opinion, to describe your action like, I start looking through the tool shed, I start looking through the drawers, I start looking around the tool shed, searching for some sort of saw or cutting tool, searching for a hammer or a heavy object to use. It's all about that. Well, thank you for watching this video. Thank you for your likes and your comments. Let me know your own thoughts on this, and any other comments or questions, please let me know. And thank you so much to those of you that are going the extra mile to support the channel. If anyone else wishes to further support the channel, the information on how to do that will be in the description below. And remember, it is better to roleplay and fail in character than not to roleplay and fail as a player. Trying to create your own items in the described room is failing as a player, in my opinion. But you have session 0 for that as well. Handle it however you like. Once again, thank you, and see you later.